Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle something super practical: how to talk about your day and the weather in English. You know, these are two things that come up in conversation all the time, and by the end of this, you're going to feel so much more confident chatting about them.
So let me ask you this. If someone came up to you and said, "Hey, how was your day?" Or "What'd you do today?" Would you know what to say? If that question makes you hesitate even a little bit, don't worry. You are in exactly the right place. We're going to build that skill together, step by step.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll start with the morning, because that's where the day begins, right? And we'll see how it connects to the weather. Then, we'll learn how to decode a weather report so you know exactly what all those words mean. After that, we'll walk through the rest of the day, and then, this is the important part, we'll put it all together so you can have a real, natural conversation.
All right, let's dive right in with part one, the morning routine and forecast. How you start your morning really sets the mood for the whole day, so it's the perfect place for us to get started.
You know, a typical morning for most of us looks something like this. First, you wake up, you get ready for the day, then you grab some breakfast. And just before you head out the door, or even before you get dressed, you probably do one really important thing. You check the weather forecast.
So what exactly is a forecast? Well, it's pretty simple. It's just a prediction of what the weather's going to be like. It's what helps you answer those daily questions like, do I need an umbrella today? Or should I wear a jacket? It's a key little piece of information for planning your day.
And that leads us perfectly into our next section, decoding the weather report. Let's break down the specific words you're going to hear and see in a forecast, because once you know these, you'll know exactly what to expect when you step outside.
Okay, let's start with two kinds of rain that are worlds apart. On one side, you've got drizzle. This is just a really light, fine rain, almost like a mist. But on the other side, you have a thunderstorm. And that's the whole shebang. We're talking heavy rain, loud thunder, and big flashes of lightning. Very different.
And then there's hail. Now, this is not the same as snow. Snow is soft, right? Hail is made of small, hard balls of ice falling from the sky. It can make a lot of noise hitting your window, and sometimes it can even cause damage. So it's definitely something you want to know is coming.
Now, forecasts don't just tell you what might happen, they also tell you how likely it is. You'll often see a percentage, something like this, 60%. This number is all about the chance, or the probability, that it's actually going to rain or snow or whatever the forecast is predicting.
This chart really helps break it down. If you see a low chance, say 10%, you probably don't need to worry too much. A 60% chance? Well, that's a pretty good chance it'll happen, so it's smart to be prepared. But a high chance, like 95%? Okay, that means it's almost certainly going to rain. You should absolutely grab that umbrella. And finally, a forecast will always talk about temperature using highs and lows. It's simple. The high is the warmest it's expected to get all day, usually in the afternoon. And the low is the coldest it's going to be, which is often late at night. This little range is what helps you decide if you need a light sweater or a big, heavy coat.
Okay, so we've got the weather down. Let's move on to section 3 and talk about the rest of your day. Once you know what the weather's doing, you can talk about your plans for the afternoon and evening. Let's look at some simple, really useful phrases you can use.
So for the afternoon, you might go back to work or study. You could say things like, I need to check my emails, or I have a meeting around 2 o'clock. A lot of people also try to take a short break. And hey, if the weather's nice, maybe you'll go for a walk.
Then, as we move into the evening, your routine changes. You might say, I'm going to come home and rest, or I'll cook dinner tonight. After eating, maybe you clean up a bit. And finally, I like to read a book before bed. You see, these little sentences start to build a clear story of your day.
And that brings us to the most important section of all, putting it all into practice. Look, knowing words for your routine is great, and knowing words for the weather is great, but the real skill, the thing that makes you sound really natural, is when you can weave them together.
So imagine it's the weekend, and the forecast is just clouds and rain all day. You might hear someone say something like this.
That certainly sounds like a dreary Saturday. But what does a word like dreary actually mean?
Dreary is such a great adjective. We use it when the weather is just blah. You know, it describes a day that feels dull and dark, maybe a little bit boring, or even sad, just because there's no sun. It's the perfect word for connecting a feeling directly to the weather. This table shows you exactly how to make that connection. If the forecast says there's a high chance of showers, what's your plan? I think I'll stay home and read a book. If it's sunny with a beautiful high of 75 degrees, I will definitely go for a walk in the park. And if you see a severe thunderstorm warning, well, your plan is simple.
I will be careful and stay inside. See how the weather forecast directly shapes your plans and how you talk about them?
Okay, we've learned the words, we've seen the examples. But now comes the part that truly matters, the most important step of all, and that is your turn to speak. This is how you take all this information and turn it into a real, usable skill.
Here's a super simple but really powerful 4-step way you can practice. First, just think about your day. What did you do? What are you going to do? Step 2, describe it using simple, complete sentences. Now, step 3, and I mean it, this is the most important one. Say those sentences out loud. Actually hearing yourself speak English makes a huge difference. And finally, step 4, try to do it every day, even just for a minute. That consistency is everything.
And remember, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody is. Just try. Start with one simple sentence about your day and the weather. Tomorrow, maybe you can try for 2. Before you know it, you'll be telling the whole story of your day in English without even thinking about it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep practicing.